Hello, everyone. Welcome to our third episode of M&W Fiction Speaks. We are doing our poetry episode today. So let's kick it off with Native American land acknowledgement. And I would just like to acknowledge that I am on Piscataway land.
And I would like to acknowledge that I am on Monohoic land.
All right. M is going to read the introductions of the poets that we're going to be reviewing today.
You seeing what I'm seeing?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. So this, I pulled all their introductions from their websites because I think people write up their introductions better than I could. I think they know more about themselves than I do. So this is pulled from Danez Smith's website. Danez is a Black queer POZ writer and performer from St. Paul, Minnesota. Danez is the author of Homie with Grey Wolf Press 2020, Don't Call Us Dead, also with Grey Wolf Press 2017, and winner of the Forward Prize for Best Collection, the Midwest Bestsellers Choice Award, and a finalist for the National Book Award. And Insert Boy, published with Yes Yes Books 2014, winner of the Kate Tufts Discovery Award and the Lambda Literary Award for Gay Poetry. They are the recipient of fellowships from the Poetry Foundation, the McKnight Foundation, the Montalvo Arts Center, Cave Canem, and the National Endowment for the Arts. Danez's work has been featured widely, including on BuzzFeed, the New York Times, PBS NewsHour, Best American Poetry, Poetry Magazine, and on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Danez has been featured as part of Forbes' annual 30 Under 30 list and is the winner of the Pushcart Prize. They are a member of the Dark Noise Collective and is the co-host of VS with Franny Choi, a podcast sponsored by the Poetry Foundation and Post Loudness.
Yeah. Awesome. We're going to be looking at their work first. And the first one is 17-year-old and the gay bar. And I am going to be sharing my screen and I can read out their poem. The 17-year-old in the gay bar by Danez Smith. This gin heavy heaven, blessed ground to think gay and men, gay and mean we. Bless the fake ID and the bouncer who knew this needed to be needed to belong, to know how. A man taste full of vodka and free of sin. I know not which God to pray to. I look to Christ. I look to every mouth on the dance floor. I order a whiskey coke. Name it the blood of my new Savior. He is just. And he begs me to dance, to marvel with the dash of hips I brought. He seems to mouth in some stranger's mouth necessary. Bless the bless that man's mouth. The song we the song we sway sloppily to, the beat, the bridge, the length of his hands on my thighs and back, and I know not which country I am of. I want to live on this tongue, build a home of gospel and gravity, and gaiety. I want to raise a city behind his teeth for all boys of choirs and closets to refuge in. I want my new God to look at me, to look at the Mecca I built him and call it damn good. Or maybe I'm just tipsy and free for the first time, willing to worship anything I can taste. So that's their first poem we're going to look at. What are your thoughts on this?
I love, this is so small, but it's something that I read the poem like 3 times, and now this is my fourth reading it again. And I love um, that they spell gaiety not with an I, but with a Y. I don't know why that little thing, it brings me so much joy, but because I mean, it is about a 17-year-old in a gay bar and them trying to find themselves in all this secrecy, but also knowing that in this space they can be free. And so that little like change of like, I don't know, like I just really like that they spell it with a Y instead of an I. I think it fits very well within the poem, and I think it stands out because people are gonna be like, well, that's not how you spell gaiety. That's spelled wrong. But because it fits so well in the poem, I really love it. That's one of the little things that I really love. I really love the sounds of the poem, like the gin heavy heaven. Love that double H right there. I think that's beautiful. I love the I know not which God to pray to, and I know not which country I am of. Um, gives very biblical. I've never read the Bible. It gives very biblical. As somebody who was raised Muslim, it gives very biblical. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. It gets very old times. Old times. And then the very last line is just I love beginnings and endings, and I think this ending is perfect of the or maybe I'm just tipsy and free for the first time, willing to worship anything I can taste. Like they admit, like maybe this isn't love, and I'm just like free, and this freedom is just so amazing, and I'm willing to call it love. I love that. What about you?
My thoughts, the first thing I wrote down was a lot of church hurt in this one. A lot of church hurt in this one. Someone that was raised like in the Christian church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, yep, I see this one. It was very I felt I wrote down wanting to build a place that fits queerness and religion. That's what I felt like this poem wanted. Like their whole comparing like whiskey to like the blood of Christ, and like trying to find Jesus in like these other men. And that just goes to how sometimes I feel like like that deeply ingrained like church hurt, that trauma of like no matter what you do, as you could be like the best person in the world, but if you're gay you're still going to hell no matter what you do. And trying to like I grew up with like gayness and queerness just being so far removed from Christianity that you because like they don't believe you can be Christian and gay like where I'm from. So it's just like very like separate. Like you have to choose one or the other. And I feel like Danez, they're trying to meld them and find them. Like you can be queer and you can be religious as well. But at the end, what I see from the last line, or maybe I'm just tipsy and free for the first time, is that maybe like they don't go together. And so yeah, that's was my interpretation of it.
Oh, I like that. I knew that because we've had conversations before about you and the church, so I was excited to hear about because I mean the only experiences that I've had with the Christian church is when I first moved back in with my mom, and she would make us go like every Sunday, and then as we got older, we went like just on the holidays because she started working more, and now I mean I I don't I don't go at all. I feel more connected with the way that I was raised Muslim than I do with the way that my mother tried to raise us Christian. And anytime that I went to the church, it was just like, oh, okay, I guess I'm here. No, that's all I really got. So I was really interested to hear what you had to say.
Yeah, like I would say I'm sort of still Christian now. I go to a queer friendly church in Richmond, St. John's. But it's just like I still don't feel like it's church. I still don't feel like it's home. Um, One because the pandemic, like I couldn't go to church physically anymore. And also it's just like I just like I'm probably one of the few black people there. And it's just I don't feel church like hearing like this new way of preaching of having social justice ingrained in like preaching, and like gay and out people there. It just doesn't feel like church to me. So and that's sad. Like I'm used to the like I feel like church is like conservative in a sense, but it also feels like home. Like it feels familiar. Um and like adding queerness to it, I'm just so used to it just not being together. That's all I'm trying to say. And it's just like finding a place. I don't know if I want to find a place where queerness and the church come together anymore per se. Like I don't know. I haven't thought about it much, honestly, because whenever I think about it, it makes me sad. So I'm just like, I'm just not going to think about it. And that's not good, but it's just how it is. So, yeah. But, what other, my other thoughts, like of how it was, written? Um, I, I like the line where it says, I know of not which God to pray to. Um, I look to Christ and on the dance floor. Wait, no. Oh my god. To know how a man tastes full of vodka, free of sin. Um I like that line in particular because it's just again trying to find melt the melding of church and of like queer nightlife. And that's another thing to say too about how a lot of queer spaces have a lot of alcohol and drugs. Um, and how like that's not like really like safe um for people especially that are grew up conservatively, like people that may not feel comfortable, like, oh yeah, like I don't drink a lot, like I don't do this a lot, and but if I want to be a part of these queer spaces, like it feels like I have to do that. And that's not cool. But I have been to, I feel like we're catching up, like I see a lot more places just like not serve that much amount, like whenever I go to like a kickback, a queer kickback or something, they would always have an alcoholic version and a non-alcoholic version, and to just try to make it the place as like safe as possible, or just assuming that not everyone wants to drink and like their backgrounds don't do that. So um but yeah, those are my thoughts. I like this poem. I relate to it like the most likely. So we can move on to the next poem, or if
Just
you
want
have
to
any
add one more
thoughts.
thing. With the gay places being full of alcohol and drugs, I think also another thing that I didn't even think of until I was an RA last year, and one of my students was non-binary and non-binary and trans, and they were talking about how they really love STEM. Like they're very much a STEM person, but all the queer spaces that they go to are full of artists. And not that they don't like artists, but they feel like they can't have a lot of conversations with people. And so they joined this one group that I didn't even know existed at VCU, that is just like queer people in STEM. And that's just something that I didn't even think of because I'm queer, but I'm an artist. So it didn't even come to mind that, like, of course, there's going to be queer people who love science and math. Like, but I thought that was so cool. So I think, yeah, I love that there are more spaces being opened up, that it's not just like this one thing. And I think it's also like not to, I don't know, like the secrecy and the nightlife, beautiful. Well, not the secrecy, the nightlife, beautiful, great. But yeah, I also want there to be more spaces where queer people could meet in the daytime and not have to get drunk to like create community. That's all I wanted to add.
Yeah, no, and I agree. All right, we're gonna move on to the next poem called "Tonight in Oakland," and I will also try to read this one out loud. And here we go. All right, so "Tonight in Oakland" by Danez Smith. I did not come here to sing a blues. Lately, I open my mouth, and out comes marigolds, yellow plumes. I came to make the sky a garden. Give me rain or give me honey, dear Lord. The sky has given us no water this year. I ride my bike to a boy. When I get there, what we make will not be beautiful or love at all, but it will be well deserved. I've started seeking men to wet the harvest. Come tonight, I declare we must move instead of pray. Tonight, east of here, two boys, one dressed in what could be blood, and one dressed in what could be blood before the wound, meet and mug. And God, tonight, let them dance. Tonight, The bullet does not exist. Tonight, the police have turned to their God for forgiveness. Tonight, we bury nothing. We serve a God. With no need for shovels, we serve a God with a bad hip and a brother in prison. Tonight, let every man be his own Lord. Let whenever two people stand be a reunion of ancient lights. Let's waste the moon's marble glow, shouting our names to the stars until we are the stars. O precious God, O sweet black town, I am drunk and I thirst. When I get to the boy who lets me practice hunger with him, I will not give him a name of your newest ghost. I will give him my body, and what he does with it is none of my business. But I will say, look, I made it a whole day, still, no rain, still. I am without exit wound. And he will say, Tonight tonight I want to take you how the police do, unarmed and sudden. And tonight when we dream of dancing in a city slowly becoming ash. Yeah, that one hurt.
Hearing it again, I'm wondering if the rain that he's talking about is actual rain like water or like a rain of bullets. That thought just passed through my mind while you were reading it again. And I didn't have that thought before. And now I'm thinking, what? I wonder if, or if it's just supposed to be both and he's playing off of both of them. Because I know California, it doesn't rain a lot. But then he's talking about all this police brutality that I'm like, wait a minute. Or they're talking about all the police brutality. I'm like, wait a minute.
I honestly reading the first half, I didn't get like that at all. I got like sex. I got like I didn't come here to sing the blues. Lately I opened my mouth and or there's this one line, I ride my bike to a boy. When I get there, we make will not be beautiful or love at all, but it will be deserved. I've started seeking men to wet the harvest. So to me that was like sexual. She was just like, I've been waiting to do something that didn't come around. So she is going to like a man to find it. They, my bad. They're going to a man to find it. And later in the poem, they're talking about how every man should be their own lord, which I found very interesting. Then one the lines that really got me were let's waste the moon's marble glow, shouting our names to the stars until we are the stars. I thought that was like a very good line. Then when they said, when I get a boy who lets me practice hunger with him, I will not give him the name of your newest ghost. Um, and that really rang true about like police brutality of like becoming another hashtag, getting your name to be another hashtag, another ghost. But it seemed like the poem was like making a son and that father not being there, then trying to like pray to God to like let your son still be alive. Like it started off very like what we make together won't be great because either they will die because of the police or they would not flourish because of what circumstances they were born into. So that was my thing.
I definitely got no, I agree. That first line that you read, I was definitely sexual. And I felt that it was I felt that sorry, give me a minute. I felt that it was sorry, just I can't remember what I was going to say, so we can move on to something else. If you had any other thoughts on the poem.
We were talking about how that one line of let me go back of I ride my bike to a boy. When I get there, what we make will not be beautiful or love at all, but it will be deserved. I've started seeking men to wet the harvest. And I don't know, that just sticks with me. Like just finding comfort or trying to find comfort in other men or validation from other men. When I first read it, and I didn't know the whole context of the police brutality aspect metaphor of the poem, but like just hearing like that of like what we I'm not making love to this person. I'm doing this out of like necessity. It will be deserved, and what we will make is not going to be beautiful. Then reading through the poem of like how Black children are like so discarded, and demonized and sexualized from an early age that their childhood would be ruined, and like going down when they have that discussion. I'll give him my body, and what he does with it will be none of my business. But I will say, look, I made it a whole day. Still, no rain. Still, I am without exit wound. So I am I'm barely surviving, but I'm not dead yet. That's what I get from that line. Then in the poem, and he will say, "Tonight I want to take you how the police do, unarmed and sudden." Again, and I feel like that is sexual. Like I feel like that is sexual in some type of way. Um, it's like a weird like we're doing like police brutality, but then all this like sexual nature thing, and I'm like, okay,
I remember the point that I was trying to make. It gives me the same vibes that the Emmett Till episode of Lovecraft Country gave me. It gives me the vibes of like this is happening, but I'm gonna go get what I need to survive this. And I think that's where I do really like the mending, not the mending, the melting of police brutality and sexual. Because it's like, yeah, all of this. Because I mean, like you hear Oakland, and like I think everybody has a certain idea of what's happening in Oakland, California. So I feel like you hear tonight in Oakland, and then they're saying all these things of like tonight, you know, no one has died. Tonight, no one is getting shot. But tonight, we are going to be here together, and it's not going to be lovely, and it's not going to be beautiful, but we're going to be here together because this is what I need.
yeah, no. And the last line of the poem really sums it up. Like, and tonight when we dream of dancing in a city slowly becoming ash.
Mm-hmm.
I feel
Yeah.
this is gonna be next week's episode, but we were reading Octavia's Brood, a collection of anthology short stories. And I was reading this one book about a city in no, Detroit. This short story in Detroit where the river is like
Yeah.
killing all the yuppies,
Mm-hmm.
white
That was
people.
one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, and this poem reminds me of that short story about how the city is like the actual river itself is so gross and grimy and polluted, but it protects the native people that were
Mm-hmm.
there. And I feel like in this poem, it's just like the city sucks, but
Mm-hmm.
like we're making the best out of the situation. So
No, I agree. Yeah.
yeah, like I think like what I like about I like this I feel like this had a lot more meat for me to analyze personally than like the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Like this one made me think a little bit more and I like that. So, but yeah, this was good. Do you have
Okay.
any closing thoughts? Oh, sorry.
I was just about to say I'm trying to see if I have any closing thoughts, but I think that's it. I do agree. I really do like this one, and it does have a little bit more meat. I really, I think the melting of the two. I just think, and I think they do it so beautifully that it's just like a perfect like zigzag between the two of them. Those were my closing thoughts. I really like the poem.
All right. Next we're doing the poet Eve L Ewing, and they use she her pronouns.
Awesome. All right. This is also pulled from Eve L Ewing's website. Dr. Eve L Ewing is a sociologist of education and a writer from Chicago. She's the award-winning author of 4 books, the poetry collections Electric Arches, and 1919, the nonfiction work Ghosts in the Schoolyard, Racism and School Closing on Chicago's South Side, and most recently a novel for young readers, Maya and the Robot. She is the co-author with Nate Marshall of the play No Blue Memories, The Life of Gwendolyn Brooks. She has written several projects for Marvel Comics, most notably the Ironheart series. Ewing is an assistant professor at the University of Chicago Crown Family School of Social Work, Policy, and Practice. Her work has been published in The New Yorker, The Atlantic, The New York Times, and many other venues. Currently, she is working on her next book, Original Sins, The Miseducation of Black and Native Children and the Construction of American Racism, which will be published by One World.
I love reading what these authors are getting up to. Like,
yeah, because they be getting up to anything and everything.
all right, and I will read her first poem, To the Notebook Kid by Eve L Ewing. Yo, chocolate milk for breakfast, kid. One leg of your sweatpants rolled up, scrounging at the bottom of your mama's purse for bus fare and gum. Pen broke and you got ink on your thumb, kid. What's good? Hot on the cement, kid. White Castle, kid. Tongue stained purple, cussing on the court till your little brother shows up with a half a candy bar, kid. Got that B good in science, kid. You earned it, kid. Etch your name in a tree. Let me scroll down. Hug your granny on her birthday. Think of Alaska when they shootin'. Curled up dreams of salmon, safety, tundra. The farthest away place you ever saw in a book. Polar bears, your new chess partners. Pickaxe in the ice, Northern Lights, kid. Keep your notebook where your cousins won't find it. Leave it on my desk if you want. Shuffle around under carbon paper and a stamp that screams lake, yellow and red to draw the eye from the ocean you keep hidden in jacked up 5-star. Your mama thought there was a street in there. Thought they would laugh, but that ain't it. It flows. It's that flows and flows and flows in lines like those rip roaring bits you get, bars till the end of time. You could rap like helium about to spring all of it down to you, none left in the sun. Fullness of fuelless while the light pushes from your belly, climbing your ribs. Ugh, sorry. And you laugh into the microphone. And who is ready for that? I feel so. I'm sorry, I butchered that reading. It was the diction was hard in that one. It had a nice rhythm, but I was just like out of breath. There wasn't a lot of periods, and I was trying my best.
Was it a lot of periods?
I'm sorry.
Well, talking about there not being a lot of periods.
No, there's only. Hold on.
I think there's like 3.
There's 3 periods in this entire poem.
Yeah.
No, there's no commas either.
Nope. But I love that about it. I think that because the 3 lines that have the periods are such important lines, and I love how it flows through, and the Notebook Kid, To the Notebook Kid, that's great. I feel like I can really resonate with this because I feel like it's like, you're the kid your mom works all the time and you're locked out of the house sometimes because you lost your key and you're out on the hot cement, and you're the White Castle kid because you're not getting cooked meals because your mom's working. So you got to get something that's easily reachable. So you put it in the microwave and you eat it. So you're the White Castle kid, and you're the kid that has this notebook and you hide it away, and everybody thinks you're hiding it away because there's secrets in there, but it's like, no, you're just a really bomb writer. like you just don't want people to steal your shit because you're too good. So I really like this poem. This poem felt like, hello, me. And I really do like that there's only 3 lines that end with periods, because I feel like those 3 lines are important. Is it 3 lines or is it 4 lines?
All right, so yo, chocolate milk for breakfast, kid,
Yeah.
period. Then keep your notebook where your cousins won't find it, period. Then um okay, then after that it's you keep hidden in a jacked up 5-star, period. Then thought they would laugh, but that ain't it, period.
Yeah.
Then we end it with a question mark. That's it.
Yeah. So there's 5 end stop lines, but 4 periods. What about you? What do you like about the poem?
Um, and I'm gonna sound ignorant when I'm gonna say this. I'm honestly not a poetry person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just I feel like and we're gonna talk about this later in the podcast, but like I feel like my teaching about poetry was always hard in school.
Mm-hmm.
Like I consider myself I'm not a good speaker, or I'm not good at like language or anything like that. And I always felt pressured that I need to like analyze this poem and like figure out, is this iambic meter, or like it was just like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when I immediately don't understand the poem, I'm just stupid. Like I
Mm-hmm.
can't get it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and when I first read this, and it was like difficult to read, to me it was difficult to read, and I couldn't really understand it, and that made me frustrated. So
Mm-hmm.
it, like, I don't know, and I just kind of almost like gave up, sort of. But hearing your interpretation of it, because like, and I took a class on like poetry and like how to analyze poetry in college, and like my professor was a lot better than my high school teachers. But
Mm-hmm.
even then, it takes me like at least an hour or 45 minutes to understand like one poem. So English is hard. Like I don't
Very, very.
it's hard for me to get. But
Anybody who's learning it as a second language, go off, because this is confusing. I could never imagine coming from somewhere else. At least other languages have like, rhythms to them. It's like, yeah, this goes like this and this and this. But English was just, it's so many different languages into one that it's just like, you're not making any sense.
yeah, but hearing about, like, I related to your parents are always working, so you have to go cook yourself something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that just brought me back to like my childhood of like my dad works a lot, my mom wasn't really there, and I had to like learn to like take care of myself in that type of way. And the Notebook Kid, like, I'm an artist, so I have a sketchbook, not a notebook.
Mm-hmm.
um and I feel like the idea of like protecting that notebook, protecting your creativity, was nicely illustrated. But yeah, so it's the only thing is like I'm not dumb, but I feel dumb reading
Don't
it.
feel dumb. So I feel like some poems also just aren't for you. There have been plenty of poems that I've read in poetry classes that I take, and I'm like, yeah, and I feel like that's one thing that I really hate when teachers do, is that they'll be like, well, you have to find something that you like, because you'll have to share something that you like and something that you didn't like. And it's like, well, what if I just didn't like the entire thing? Like, can't I just say I didn't like the entire thing? So that's something that if I ever do end up going to teaching, that's something that I will never do, because I think it's so stupid. Like, what if you're allowed to just not like something? You're allowed to just not get it, and that's perfectly fine. I really did like how this kid is really messy and the poem itself is really messy. I think that juxtaposes very well, because you get like there's a lot of like messy colors in here. Like the chocolate milk makes you think of brown, and then even like the sweatpants rolled up. And I think there's 2 instances of purple, or I think there's purple and then there's gum, and gum made me think of purple pink, and so that's why I say 2, even though it's not described. But then you get it's half a candy bar, not a full candy bar, and you have to share it with your little brother. And then it's not like an A in science to B in science. There's just like a lot of like messiness in here that I really, really like, that I think they do a really good job. Even the Northern Lights kid is like that, not to say the Northern Lights are messy, but there's like a lot of colors. It's very like, so even that makes me think of messiness. And I say messy, but not in like because I know messy can have a negative connotation, but I mean like messy, just like it's not pristine. It's not perfect. Like I love the chaos. There we go. That's a better word. I love the chaos of both the poem, but then also the kid. And then like the yellow and the red. I think color, she does a really good job with colors in here. And I mean like then you get to the end and the kid is talking about how like they got bars till the end of time. And I think not to, I like the chaos of that. I think rap and hip hop can be a very chaos driven media. And I like how it's so chaotic. And then you get to the end and the kid is like, yeah, I got bars till the end of time. Love that.
Yeah, I think the line you were looking for was White Castle kid, tongue stained purple, cussing on the court till your little brother shows up, half a candy bar kid. I mean, I like
Mm-hmm.
the repetition of kid. Like
Mm-hmm.
it gives me, I don't know, like I like the flow of it. Am I good at reading it? No. But um is is someone more talented in me in like rhythm and speaking could like execute this like pretty well, but like it's tongue stained purple. It is very juvenile. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that it got that young creativity type of feeling of like a lower income type of kid writing these poems and I don't, and yeah, I guess it is not for me. I'm not, if you've known me, Em knows me, but I'm not a chaos driven type of person.
No, you're
I'm
not.
I'm
That's
really
pretty
not. Like I like things structured. I like it needs to and yeah, maybe that's a detriment, but that's how like I understand things.
I
Um
don't even think that that's a detriment. I think it's just different. You just see the world differently. I think. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty people who look at look at my chaos driven attitude and are like, "Are you okay? Are you surviving?" But I think it's just the way that I see the world. I think I'm fine.
I,
I've
yeah.
gotten this far.
I like how you say I think I'm fine, and it's like no, I'm fine. You say no, I think I'm okay.
I think I'm okay. I mean, I will fully admit. I mean, I won't know until you know. I mean, I say in the present, I'm okay. I'm okay with the way that I live life. I think as long as I can do the things, I feel like I'm good.
Yeah, do the things.
Do the things.
Um, all right. The next one. Ooh, I kind of like the name of this one.
I'm
Um,
excited for this next one. This next one was good.
all right. This next one is horror movie pitch. Okay, you guys are gonna love it. Get this. All of the black women turn invisible. All of them, just overnight. America goes to sleep and they're there. They wake up and they're not. The scary part, stick with me. They're gone. You just can't see them. Think about it. They can see each other, but you can't see them. And they could be anywhere. The girl you passed up for the promotion, she could be in your car, ready to yank your head back by your hair right when you're busy at an intersection. The woman you grabbed on the subway escalator, she could be in your living room looking through your tax returns. The group of friends you whistled at. The group of friends you whistled at might take turns whistling back at you from hidden places, shrill and off key until you go mad. The one you prodded and whispered about, she might be lurking in the men's room with a sharp letter opener and a roll of duct tape. The girl you lied on again and again might be on the back porch where you smoke and she's dousing your cigarettes in lighter fluid. All of all of the ones whose hair you touched, all of the ones whose names you mocked, all of the ones you whose pay you cut, all of the ones whose houses, the ones whose jobs, the ones whose babies, the ones they could be anywhere with knives or guns or poison or matches or things they have to say you to say to you about you and you have to listen. I mean, let's be real. Maybe they would just leave, go somewhere warm and secret, string up Christmas lights, raise goats and chickens, grow zucchini and fire up the grill, make every night for cards and barbecue, let their hair grow or cut it all off, let themselves get fat or skinny, talk about things that are not you. But then again, maybe they would do everything you did to them, do it more and faster and harder with all of the mean they learned from you. The witless cruelty, the smirking dismals, the rope across your wrist, all twisted words and lucky punches, and you wouldn't even see them coming. Okay, then that was the first one. Then horror movie pitch 2. This one is even better than the last. You'll love it. It's like your typical exorcist type situation. You know, not religious, but Old Testament inspired, like rivers of blood. It goes like this. The men who climb to acclaim on our, the men who climb to acclaim on our backs, digging their knees into our kidneys, dirty nails into our thighs. All of their books, films, albums, whatever they made in this life catches on fire. But it burns, but before it burns, it bleeds. Stigmata on paper, staining the nice office carpeting of important people and then turning their hands to boils when they reach out to touch the thing that they once loved. The men don't burn. They just their work, and they watch it all happen from comfortable chairs they didn't pay for before the locusts come.
Ah, damn. Dang, dang, dang.
You did beautifully. I really love the first one. The second one was good, don't get me wrong. The first one was just immaculate. I really loved it. I love the idea of writing a poem about a horror movie pitch, and I think I'm gonna give it a try. Because I love the fact of, and the line where like she goes through all of these things that they might do and like all the things that have been done to them, and then she just gets to the line where like, well, I mean, let's be honest. Maybe they'll just leave. Like, let's be realistic. Like, maybe all the black women, if they disappear and you can't see them, like maybe they'll just dip. like, like what do they want? Like, go talk about things that aren't about you. Like, because not everything is about you. And I love that turn of the poem. I think it was so good. And I love the grow zucchini and fire up the grill, but that's just because I love zucchini. So it's just a line that stood out to me because that's my favorite vegetable. Zucchini is so good. I love the let their hair grow or cut it all off because black women and hair is such a subject. And so I love the inclusion of that line. I think it was so important. And the let themselves get fat or skinny because again, black women and their bodies is such a subject, such an important line to put in. And then she comes back and she's like, but then again, let's think one more time. Maybe they'll come back and do all the things that you did to them, but meaner and faster and harder. And I think the first one was so good.
I think just going off of what you said about coming back harder and stronger about about how like the oppressors treated us, I feel like white people are so scared about that happening.
Yeah.
They're so terrified of like if one day black people just like wake up and it was just like, yep, today is the day.
Today's the day we just gonna fuck shit up. And
Today
it's so interesting because it's like it causes all this perpetuation of like, why are you so angry, or like even not even just anger. Anytime a black person shows emotion, they're like, why are you so, it can literally be them crying and they'll be like, why are you being so aggressive right now? As soon as you hear somebody call a black person aggressive, you're like, okay, let's just leave, we're not winning this fight. Because at that point you're not actually hearing me, you're just seeing the black skin, so let's just dip because we're not having this, we're not doing this. But yeah, it's like for the history to be so much of y'all causing us pain, for y'all to be so afraid of us, is hilarious. It's so funny because one day we really might just wake up and say it's the day.
just and like last year during the Black Lives Matter protests, like I feel like people were genuinely worried about that. And
Yeah, like the race war. Everybody was making jokes on Twitter and TikTok about the race war and how the white kids are gonna lead the race war. I
no,
blame that on Hunger Games and Divergent. They got all these white kids out here thinking they gonna lead the race war. baby. Just because Katniss was white, let's be realistic. One, you are no Katniss. Two, Katniss should have been black because ain't no white woman is leading us in the race war. What white woman is gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna lead all these people in the race war, babe? He said, yeah. Goodbye. What white woman is realistically gonna be like, yeah, I'll do this for the betterment of people without having any personal gain for myself?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, this is a tangent, but I think Katniss did it to protect her sister first.
True. So it was for herself. It was to protect her interests. I count that as herself.
No, because like when she realized like, oh wait, no, this system is fucked up is when Rue died, and Rue happens to be black. Interesting.
True.
Anyway,
she just went in volunteer as tribute for her sister. I forgot. I haven't read Hunger Games in so long.
But anyways, back to this. It was just yeah, like, and I feel like a lot of movies like came up with this concept, like promising young woman, but like the reason why that movie was so like disappointing was like she would get revenge on these guys, but like just tell them off, apparently, not actually do anything. But and I feel like I just keep remembering this speech. I forgot her name. If I find her name, I'll put it up here.
Why do you burn down the community? Why do you burn down your own neighborhood? It's not ours. We don't own anything. We don't own anything. Trevor Noah said it so beautifully last night. There's a social contract that we all have, that if you steal or if I steal, then the person who is the authority comes in and they fix the situation. But the person who fixes the situation is killing us. So the social contract is broken. And if the social contract is broken, why the fuck do I give a shit about burning the fucking Football Hall of Fame, about burning a fucking Target? You broke the contract when you killed us in the streets and didn't give a fuck. You broke the contract when for 400 years we played your game and built your wealth. You broke the contract when we built our wealth again on our own, by our bootstraps in Tulsa, and you dropped bombs on us. When we built it in Rosewood and you came in and you slaughtered us. You broke the contract, so fuck your Target. Fuck your Hall of Fame. As far as I'm concerned, they could burn this bitch to the ground. And it still wouldn't be enough. And they are lucky that what black people are looking for is equality and not revenge.
But she says, you mad that we burned down a Target? You mad that
yes, I know exactly.
You're lucky that black people want equity and not revenge.
Right.
And I was just like, I kind of want revenge, but
maybe I'm in the minority, but speak for yourself.
You know, like 500 years of systematic oppression, whatever this era is, and like I feel white people, no, or I shouldn't say all white people, but like the oppressors, they know that they're scared of that. They saw the vitriol of what happened last year. And they're creating all of these laws to make protesting harder.
Right.
Like the day of the George Floyd trial, or no, I shouldn't say George Floyd trial. Derek Chauvin murder trial. They were like, the governor of Florida was like passed a law that made it, I think either just made it harder to protest or made it so people can run through protesters with their cars.
Yes, and they won't get charged for I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
so the day of the trial,
because I feel like these have been, and I feel like they've been debating these laws for a minute. I feel like since Trayvon Martin, they've probably been putting these laws into place and sneaking them into different things and getting it passed without anybody even noticing, because which is just so stupid because it's literally in the Constitution. But anyway, this country is so backwards, they don't even understand their own Constitution. If I have to hear one more person say we can't amend the Constitution, what do you think the word amend means? What do you think? Or they'll say we can't change the Constitution. What do you think the word amendment means? Amend literally means to change. We have amendment. Like, how do you think prohibition worked? They literally put an amendment in to ban alcohol and then brought it back. What? You don't even understand how your country works. I want revenge as well because as a first generation, y'all fucked up Africa, and I want revenge for the entire continent. Entire continent. I want revenge.
Just think about how powerful the continent of Africa could be if white people were just like, let me keep my hands to myself.
Right. I want revenge because y'all really came in and took away everything that was fun. Like, y'all really came in. Did you see there's this one TikTok that was going around where there's still a tribe that, like, in Africa that they just be doing their thing, right? They don't have any newer technology or whatever. Like, they're still living like it's like the 1700s, right? And this one white dude was talking about them, and he's like, we need to make contact with them. And then one person in the comments was like, no, just like leave them alone. And then he comes back with another video and he stitched the comment, and he was like, but we have to ask ourselves, for how long can we leave them alone? Because global warming is getting worse and we need to be able to protect them against global warming. I think they'll be okay. Something tells me if it is 2021 and they're still living when this tribe has been around for a century, I think they'll be okay. Really, you need to go to them to figure out how you're going to survive global warming, because I don't think you'll be okay. And even myself, listen, I don't know how to listen, if the apocalypse occurs, I'm dying. Like, I'm not, it's not, it honestly, okay, it depends on who I'm with when it starts. Because if I'm with a good group of people, I might fight for a couple of years. But if I am with people I don't like, could you imagine being in like class? The apocalypse starts, I'm dying. I don't know these people. I'm dying. Take me now. I'm dying.
Yeah, you're right. If I'm with like my dad, I will be like, okay, like maybe it'll be okay.
Right. Like I could go for a couple months.
But if I'm with my mom, it's not happening.
Oh. Said never mind. Let me just lay on the ground and let the waves of the apocalypse take me. Lord, I'm coming home.
Yeah, no, but again, back to this poem of like how I feel like this poem just embodies of if the horror pitch number 1, it just embodies how Black people could. Like, yeah. People, like we showed you last summer, and like we could come again. Like we like right. Like for sure. And I feel like whenever like we say, hey, like, you know, that was racist, or hey, that was wrong, like white people are like so genuinely afraid. And I feel like because like they know that like they fucked up. They done fucked up. They done.
Real. It really is like their worst fear to be called out on the things that they do. Like it's really like not even their worst fear to like have to acknowledge it and change as a person, just their fear to be called out on it. They're shaking in their boots when someone even starts a word with a if they hear an R, they're like, oh damn, what'd I do? Shaking in their boots. Like, get it together. Just change as a people.
Yeah, but I really love, like, and we were just talking about chaos of poetry, and sometimes that's difficult for me to like do, but I feel like this poem is like chaotic in a way that I can like understand, because it's like a run-on sentence would be like, hey guys, what if this happens, what if this happens, what if that happens, and like this could happen. It just feels like, and I feel like I got into it when I was reading it. I was like, oh yeah, check this, what if this happened. It just felt fun reading it, and that is something I enjoyed. For horror movie pitch number 2, I like the idea of white men watching what they built burn.
Right. And right. And when they try to touch it, their hands, they have boils on their hands when they try to touch it. I like the idea of like they don't get to burn because that's too nice of a death for them. They have to watch everything they built burn. And I like the line of like sitting on expensive chairs they didn't buy. I love that. Yes.
But like again, I do love the first one more. Of just like, what if I was invisible, bitch?
Yeah, like the second one, no, don't get me wrong. The second one is good and I love it. And I like that it's so short, but it paints such a vivid picture in your mind. Like you can see these men trying to reach for the things that they love. And it's just all burning. But the first one is it's just so good. Because it's just like, what if all Black women just woke up invisible and started fucking with your day? Wouldn't that be kind of scary?
And also, what if we just left too? Like as you said,
Yeah.
Like I would mess with people for a bit and be like, okay, I had my fill. Time to go to the Black Woman Island now.
Right. And it's like, but that's also scary because what are y'all gonna do then? Like y'all, like a lot of people in this society really thrive off of Black women being on the bottom of the totem pole. And so what are y'all gonna do when we dip? What's gonna happen? That's crazy.
Yeah.
I love the first one. The first one's so good.
Yeah, no, I think this is a good poem. I really enjoy this one. All right, moving swiftly along to our next poet, we have Ross Gay, and they use him, he, him pronouns.
Also pulled from Ross Gay's website. Ross Gay is the author of 4 books of poetry: Against Which, Bringing the Shovel Down, Beholding, and a Catalog of Unabashed Gratitude. Winner of the 2015 National Book Critics Circle Award and the 2016 Kinsley Tufts Poetry Award, his new poem, Beholding, was released from the University of Pittsburgh Press in September of 2020. His collection of essays, The Book of Delights, was released by Algonquin Books in 2019. Ross is also the co-author with Amy, I'm so sorry, I'm about to butcher this last name, Amy Nezhukumat Taltil of the chapbook Lace and Pretty Letters from Two Gardens. In addition to being co-author with Rochard Weinberg of the chapbook River, he is a founding editor with Carissa Chen and Patrick Rosal of the online sports magazine Some Call It Ballin'. In addition to being an editor with the chapbook presses Q Avenue and Ledge Mule Press, Ross is a founding board member of the Bloomington Community Orchard, a nonprofit free fruit for all food justice and joy project. He also works on the Tenderness Project with Shayla Lawson and Essence London. He has received fellowships from Cave Canem, the Bread Loaf Writers Conference, and the Guggenheim Foundation. Ross teaches at Indiana University.
Love that. All right, let me pull up his poem. All right. Poem to My Child, If Ever You Shall Be, by Ross Gay, after Steve Scaffidi. The way the universe sat waiting to become, quietly, in the nether of space and time, you remained some cellular snuggle dangling between my legs, curled in the warm swim of my mostly quietest self. If you become to be, and who knows, I wonder, little bubble of unbudded caterpillars, little one ever a swirl in my vascular galaxies, what would you think? What would you think of this world which turns itself steadily into oblivion, and that hurts so bad and hurts bad? Would you curse me, my careless caressing you into this world, or would you rise up and, mustering all your strength into that tiny throat which one day, no doubt, would grow big and strong, scream and scream and scream until you break the back of one injustice, or at least get to your knees to kiss back to life? Some roadkill? If I have so many questions for you, you are closer to me than anyone has ever been, tumbling as you are this second through my heart's every chamber, your tiny mouth, you're singing along with half-broke workhorses, steady boom and gasps, and since we are talking today, I should tell you, though I know you sneak peek sometimes through your father's eyes, it's a glorious day, and there are millions of leaves collecting against the curbs, and the most delicate shade of gold we've ever seen, and must favor the transparent wings of angels you're swimming with, little angel. But as your but as to your mother, well, I don't know. But my guess is the lilac bursts from her throat, and she is both honeybee and wasp, and some kind of moan to boot, and probably she dances in the morning. But who knows? You'll swim beneath that bridge if it comes. For now, let me tell you about the bush called honeysuckle. That that sad call a weed, and how you could push your little sun-licked face into the throngs and breathe and breathe and breathe. Sweetness would come be your name, and you would wonder why for our you would wonder why, for your teeth are so sharp and tiny, mountain range of your knuckles so hard, and you would throw back your head and open your mouth at the cows lowing their human songs in the field, and pigs swimming in shit and clover, and everything on this earth, little dreamer, of the new world, holy, ever raindrop and sand grain and blade of glass worthy of gasp and joy and love, tiny shaman, tiny bloodthirst, tiny trillion cells and trilling. Little dreamer, little hard hat, little heartbeat, little best of me.
My favorite line was, and probably she dances in the morning. I don't know why, but that part about the wife was just so cute. I was like, oh, I can imagine them dancing in the morning. Really love that. I love how he combines nature into this, like the mountain range of knuckles. I really like that line. And like the sounds that he has, like the bubble of unbudded. I think that's, and like the curse and curse me, my careless caressing. I really like those C sounds. Yeah. What about you?
I really like how he just described his sperm for the first half of the poem.
Right. But it's so beautiful.
It is really beautiful. I really like it. And my favorite part of the poem is like, will this kid curse me because I brought him into a shitty world, or will he like step up in some type of way?
Mm-hmm.
And like, I've been having this conversation a lot of like if I want kids or not. And first, 65% of the reason why I won't have kids is because my vagina will rip. That alone.
Mm-hmm.
That alone.
So that's all for me, but you guys do you.
But like the idea of mentoring a child, and like I do love children. And I like seeing all the potential they have, and like I always feel inclined to nurture them. But like having my own kid come here, and they didn't ask to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So like thinking of adopting, would I want to adopt a kid that is already here and give them opportunities? What, or I could give my own child, like, it's just like thinking of that, like I'm bringing this into the world myself. Why am I so important to bring this child into this world? Like, I don't know. So.
No, I agree. I know there's been a lot of discourse on TikTok. Sometimes I think TikTok discourse is like the funniest thing in the entire world, because you can only do 60-second videos, but people will have entire discourses that I just feel like cannot be, anyway, done in 60-second videos. I know they have the 3-minute feature now, but whatever. So people are having discourses on TikTok about, is it selfish to bring a child into the world because this child didn't ask to be here? So does that make it an inherently selfish act? And I think there are some people who do it selfishly, because I think they're like the women, because there were some women who were like, oh, well, you won't understand unconditional love until you have a child of your own, which I'm like, are you okay? Has no one loved you? Like, because on average, women are having children at like 25. So you're saying for 25 years of your life, you have never experienced unconditional love? Is everything all right? Is everything
No.
okay?
It actually, real quick, it brings up the point, like, you know, I asked like some of the adults in my life why you had kids, and or like what was your favorite part of like raising a child,
Mm-hmm.
and they always say the unconditional love that the child gives them. Like, and I feel like that's a little weird because like you have this little person that cannot survive without you, and you just love all the attention and love that they give. But once they're like older enough to like think and like talk back to you, you still love them, but you miss when they were younger, when they were easier to like control. And that's interesting.
Yeah, that's so weird. Get a pet. Like, I just don't bring a child. I just feel like get a dog. I just feel like because a child is like that's a whole human being. Like, get a dog, please. Not to say that you should treat your dogs like once they can, because dogs will never be able to talk back. But I firmly believe that that animals should be treated very well. Because they are living beings, and like this whole thing of people now returning their animals after now that they can go outside again is terrible, and y'all should feel shamed. Stop returning your animals. That's weird. Don't get an animal if you're eventually going to return them just to get them because you were alone during the pandemic. Weirdos. But yeah, get a dog. Like, go get a fish. Get a guinea pig. A child. You needed unconditional love so badly. You made a child. You have to like women have to carry that. Like, you needed unconditional love that badly. You carried a child for 9 months. I could never. And maybe it's because I give myself unconditional love. I love me. But I could never. But it's also like, no, because I think that's why I think the term unconditional love, I feel like people think that unconditional love also means unconditional like tolerance and unconditional boundaries. Because I feel like you try to set up a boundary with some people and they're like, well, you're loving me with conditions. Well, I think that sometimes, yeah, I think not to say that I'm on the side of conditional love, but I think if we reframe the idea of what conditional love is, I would say I'm on the side of conditional love, because conditional love means like, yeah, I'm gonna set up some boundaries. I'm gonna say I don't like to do this, and I'm gonna say I don't like when you talk to me like that. And that isn't that I don't love you, is that I love me more. So I'm going to protect me from the things that I don't like that you're doing, and I think that's fair. Like, I feel so. Yeah, I definitely agree that sounds very controlling. That would be the one thing, like the first thing that pops into your mind. Like, I didn't like seeing them grow. I didn't like seeing them become their own person. I didn't like seeing them explore the world and seeing it through their eyes. No, I just really liked the unconditional love I got from them. The attention was just fantastic.
Yeah, and it's like also, you know, people have kids. I feel like, and I like that Gen Z, I'm sorry I'm being like this, but like Gen Z is having this discord of like, oh, why do we want to have kids? Because I feel
Right.
like that is changing so much now. Because I feel like just like a generation ago, it was drilled into young woman to be like, oh, you need to have kids, you need to have a husband, you need to have like a golden retriever, like you need to like have this thing, you need
Mm-hmm.
like part of growing up is having children. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that has been really ingrained into
Yeah.
our society. And now just like redefining like, is it ethical to bring children into this world now? I really enjoy having this conversation because there's so much nuance, and I feel like one thing I do not like about social media or TikTok or anything like that is that people just really want a clear-cut answer for things, and I'm just like, we can carry nuance. We do not
Yeah.
have to find the answer right away.
Right. And I think that's what I mean what I meant when I said it's so funny to talk about TikTok discourse, because there rarely is ever nuance because of the short form of it. And then people will just go into the comments and be like, this is wrong. But it's like, is it wrong, or do you just not agree with it? Because those are two separate sentences. You can't say this is wrong, but you mean I do not agree with this. Those are two different, it's not the same thing. But yeah, no, I really like having this conversation too. And I really like one thing that I was reading this article the other day of like women who went on and like adopted children without, or I don't think it was just women, because there were some men in the article as well, but it was like people who went on and adopted children without a spouse. And I remember like when Angelina Jolie adopted her first child, and everybody was going crazy because they was like, but she's not married, blah, blah, blah. I remember that as a kid, and all the tabloids were going crazy that she wasn't married and she adopted this child. I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I feel like now, like, I feel like that's going to become a thing. Like, I feel like it's about to become like a wave. Like, people are just going to like, hopefully they won't return them. But I feel like people are going to adopt children and without a spouse. Because I feel like, and I think like one thing that I really enjoyed is seeing people, I've seen this on Twitter a lot, that people are talking about like getting together with like friends to raise children, or like having just like a collective of people to raise children with. Because I mean, like, so many people will be like, it takes a village to raise a child, but then focus on the nuclear family. And I'd be like, you can't say that and then not, you know, find the village. So yeah, I do like the idea that like people are thinking about the literal, what it literally means to say that it takes a village to raise a child. I think that's dope.
Yeah, and like going back to the poem of like, you know, the poem speculated of like what would the mom be like, or what would the other partner be like, the other person that made you be like. And you know, I feel like it was very heteronormative in that way, and that's not a dig against against Mr. Gay. It was just more of like an observation, since we're talking about different ways to raise children. But like bringing it back, like you can just see that trepidation of like, this kid is either going to sink or swim.
Yeah.
Especially if they're a minority, how are they going to like survive? And knowing as like a parent, like so many Black parents, so many minority parents know that a white person could just be like, I don't like you, and to just ruin your day or even kill you. Like, how do you, and like, especially going beyond race, and like, there's capitalism, and going beyond capitalism, there's climate change, and like, how will my child raise to the occasion is pretty interesting. But yeah, so I don't know if I'm gonna have kids or not. It's going to be interesting, because like I was watching this thing again. TikTok is, it's weird how I'm getting most of my information from TikTok, but I learned that if there's like a mom and a father, or just two parents, it needs to be like this. Not me drawing, but I'm drawing. So, so the parent one is here, parent two is here, parent one, and child is here. So it's like this. So boom. So I don't know if it shows up backward for you, but
yeah, I see it.
So parent one, parent two, child. Parent one and parent two, their relationship should be closer than to their child. Because you need a solid foundation of like two adults to raise a child. Because most relationships now, I would just use me for example, like I am closer to my dad and me, and then here's my mom. So here's my dad, here's me, and here's my mom. Like my dad and mom are farther apart, and when it's supposed to be, my dad and mom are supposed to be closer to have a healthy child. But now I'm just like, it's skewed. Like now I'm just closer to my dad. And I love therapy TikToks, but anyway, because I'd be just learning so many new things. But like then just throwing that whole two parent dynamic thing out of the window, but just having a solid base of adults, like that would be cool. Like I'm not saying like I would never return a child. Like if I do that when I'm older, like I'll come with the box cutter. But like past me will come with a box cutter. But it's just like raising a child. Like we're reading the 5th season, right? And there was a polyamorous couple that was raising a child.
Oh yeah. And they were doing a fantastic job.
Fantastic job. And like But the whole community, no, but the whole community is raising the child. The whole, and like how other women offered to breastfeed for
they were breastfeeding at the same time. Yes. No, yeah, I feel like it definitely is. And that's also, I do love that a lot of Gen Z are like, we need to heal ourselves before we become parents, because I'm not going to become a parent. And I feel like that's very important, because even if you do have two adults there, if those two adults aren't healed, what's the point? You know, or even if you have 10 adults and none of them are healed, what's the point? This child is gonna, because they're all gonna pile onto that child. And so, and I think also just in general, adults need to start looking at children as human, because I feel like sometimes we don't see children, or let me not put me in there, but a lot of the times adults don't see children as human. Like I remember there was one thing, I know TikTok, there was another thing on TikTok that people were talking about the reasons why they would hit their children. And I'm like, you don't even have them. Like, you're talking about a hypothetical child. Like, a child is non-existent, and you're already talking about hitting this kid. I feel like you're not viewing them as a human. This is really weird. Why are you talking about your non-existent hypothetical child?
It feels like you're getting revenge.
Right.
It feels like you're getting revenge.
And now you have the power dynamic. If you don't go back to your parents and start a box, like go take that out on the person who did it. Because listen, your parents are getting old and you are only getting stronger. So if you don't train and go box your parents and leave your hypothetical non-existent kid out of this, please.
And I feel, and like, I'm going to be this way. It's a Black thing.
Oh, I mean, I can only speak on Black people, right? Because I am Black. I can't speak on white people. I don't know what's going on in their circles, or Asian people or whatever. I think that's something that's really funny, because you'll say that it's a Black thing and then somebody will be like, no, my parents did this too and I'm white. Can I speak on whiteness? Girl, I don't know. You bring that into the conversation. I can't speak on whiteness. I'm not white. But anyway, that's a different tangent. But yeah, no, I mean, I can only speak on Blackness, and no, definitely.
I see it again, and I can't speak for all Black people, but I just see a constant trend, especially on social media, of like, I saw this whole TikTok. It was funny, I'm not gonna lie, but it was African.
I said no, it's okay. Sometimes we laugh at things we're not supposed to. That's all right.
Yeah, but no, it was African parents. The mom handed down a slipper and the dad handed down a belt. It was like, for when your child comes, you'll
oh my God.
It was just like,
no, that actually is really funny though. But it shouldn't be, but it is.
The real question is, why do you want to hit children?
Yeah, what's up with that? Is it because they're defenseless and so they can't retaliate in the ways that other people can? Why are you taking this out on children?
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I work at a summer camp right now, and some of these kids be getting on the last nerve.
Oh no, some kids need to be kicked, but not because they're kids, because they're annoying. But you can't physically kick them. So sometimes no, just kidding. Don't abuse kids. Don't abuse kids in any way, emotional, verbal, or physical. But I can understand, like, you get upset. You're human. That's perfectly fine. Don't take that out on your kid. Step away from that. If your kid knocks down a vase and it was your favorite vase and you're upset, step away. If you need to step away and go be angry in another room, go be angry in another room. Then come back and explain to the kid, hey, don't do that. And this is why. Because they're a kid and they understand shit. I think we need to stop. Like, kids aren't stupid. Like, if you explain to them, they understand shit. But if you just hit them, they're just going to learn that when they do things you don't approve of, because then that's another thing. Kids don't come into this world knowing what's good and what's bad. And so they don't know, if I knock down this vase, somebody's going to be angry with me. So if you just hit them don't hit them and then explain, I'm hitting you because of this, because that's even worse. But anyway, if you just hit them, they're going to be like, I don't get why. They're not going to understand why they got hit. They don't know that knocking down a vase is a bad thing. So explain that to them.
No, because like, I got, not me opening my trauma, but like, I got I wasn't allowed to wear nail polish when I was younger because I was considered too grown. that's a whole other thing to unpack. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
My mom played me and she got my nails done. So
Ah.
I didn't have a say
Uh-huh.
because like I was 5, and so my mom was like, "I'm gonna get your nails done," and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
Daddy said no, and she was like, "I don't care," and but I was the one that got beat.
But you're gonna be the one that has to take up with that. He's not gonna go take it out on your mom.
Yeah, but like the thing about like beating your child, then explaining why you beat them, I don't want to. I remember being younger, and I'm like, I don't want to hear it. Like, get away from me. Like, you see those.
Right. That's such an abusive tactic. Like, you're gonna hit them and be like, "This is why I did it." What? You're setting up your kids to be in abusive relationships, and then your kid's gonna be in an abusive relationship. You're gonna be like, "Why are you in an abusive relationship? I didn't raise you like this." Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. I learned this shit from you because then it's like this idea of like, as long as they explain why they did it, then the hitting itself should be okay. What? No, don't put your hands on other people. I don't care if that kid. I don't care if it's a kid. I don't care if it's an adult. Don't put your hands on other people. Now, sometimes I lied. Sometimes adults need to be beat, but there are very specific situations where you can put your hands on an adult. Don't put your hands on no kid. If you get upset, I understand. You can't. I'm not saying that adults should have to hide their emotions, but I'm saying that like taking them out on a kid ain't doing nothing for you or that kid. Both of you, you're traumatizing the child. And then, oh my God, that just reminded me. I saw this other TikTok with, I love TikTok, but anyway, I saw this other TikTok where this girl was talking about how she hates when people try to tell her that or parents specifically, try to tell her that she can't have any opinions on how to raise kids because she doesn't have any. And she's like, that's cool, but did you raise your children or did you traumatize your children? Answer that question. And I was like, no, that's a really good question. It do answer the question quickly. I'm listening. I like an answer to the question because a lot of parents will be like, yeah, you'll understand when you have your own kids why I did this thing. But then, no, I understand why. I understand now why I shouldn't do that thing. Y'all are weird. Get help.
I'm Michael Jordan. Stop it. Get some help.
Stop it. Get some help.
Right. Stop. That's my favorite meme. I love that meme. Stop it. Get some help. But really, and you know, I don't want to be that person that's like, go to therapy, because I feel like that's a very dismissive kind of thing to say, because not everybody can afford therapy.
Classes.
Right. A dismissive and classes. Right. Very classes, because not everybody can afford therapy. But you got to do some soul searching. You got to do something, because you can't take this out on your kids.
Yeah. No, but I love the conversation that stemmed from this poem.
Right. I just realized we're on our poetry, on our poetry one. And we're talking about how to raise kids.
No, because the poem itself is to a future child, and like if we would have one or not. So yeah, I thought it was an excellent poem. It had enough punctuation for me to read properly.
Love it, love it. We're getting back to the punctuated poems. I really liked Ross Gay. Ross Gay is a very good poet.
All right, let's read another poem from him. This one is called Marionette by Ross Gay for Amadou Diallo.
Amadou Diallo.
Yes, that one. Okay, and here we go. The few strings snap and pull, the doll's flimsy limbs for his last ballet, an American piece, arms flung like a flamingo, his sachet a flame's undulation dip, wave, head snapped into a sky gaze, a pained grin white beneath the doorway's light, legs braiding in the climactic pirouette, convulsive shoulders rolling, the body finally drifts smooth as a sun-baked blood flake flecked off a rhino's horn. The gored corpse sweet meat to a smoky gauze of ravenous flies humming and blood-sucking tiny gunpowder-singed hearts, charred marks until at last the strings go slack. The doll sprawls in a crippled collapse, His face His face half lit, the puppeteers praising this black ghost steel pierced last dying quake, the dead sweet of and clean, and the last wheeze, and escaping you've heard it drop the floodgates for the real ghosts, a bouquet of them, blitzkrieg of black orchids, roaring, and they blaze. Ooh, this one. He said, "I'm going to give you imagery with this one."
Right. Imagery, everything. You're getting everything with this one. I really like this one. I like for his last ballet, an American piece. I like that he turned, not that I like, but I think the imagery of Amadou Diallo's shooting turned into an American ballet was very innovative. I really liked that. I love like the breaks in the poem. I think like when he breaks at a line and then starts a new one, I feel like you're expecting one thing, but he goes in a different direction, and I really liked that. I really liked the rhythm. I feel like there was a very staccato rhythm with all the different imagery coming in. I like that it's only 2 sentences. I think that's really cool. And you don't even really notice, because I feel like there's so many commas that you don't even really notice that it's only 2 sentences, but it's like one really long on sentence and then the last sentence of the last line. And I think the verb choice is really cool. There was one word in there that I was just like, I love this word. I want to add it. Let me go back. Let me go to the poem and see if I can find it, because it was just, I just really liked the word. I was like, this is a great word. I'm going to add it to my vocabulary.
I think, was it, the word I didn't get was blitzkrieg?
Oh, blitzkrieg. It's, remember World War II? When they,
I remember World War II.
when the Germans dropped all those bombs on London.
Mm-hmm.
It was called a blitzkrieg. It's like when, I don't know what it translates to in German, but that's the context that I know it in, is that they dropped a whole bunch of bombs and they called it a blitzkrieg. So it's got to be something when you drop a whole bunch of something on something.
Nice.
What about you? What do you like about the poem?
I didn't know it was about a shooting. I didn't know that. I should really do research onto these poems, but anyway.
Yeah, it's about Amadou Diallo. He was a Ghanaian immigrant, and he came to America, and I think like it was his like 2nd month in America. He was not here for long, and he was in New York, and he got shot because he looked like the person that the police were actually looking for. Don't quote me on that. That story might be a little skewed, but I'm pretty sure it was like in 1993. I remember because my mom she had just immigrated here, and she remembers watching it on the news and being like, oh my God. So yeah.
Yeah. Again, the first thing I said was imagery, and hearing it like in the context of this young man that got shot. It just, because I feel like people don't want to look at it. Like people like don't see it. And I think 2 episodes ago, or just an episode ago, we were talking about, again, going back to the Hunger Games, about how people were mad that Rue was a light-skinned Black girl, and they were saying, yeah, and they were saying that I can't relate to this character because she is Black, and like her death isn't as meaningful. And I feel like what this poem does, it just like describes how gruesome it is. Clearly, like seeing like, no, this is tragic. This is a horrible thing that happened. And it's also like, beautifully written and all of that stuff. So it just makes me think of that. Yeah.
And I think like, I don't know, there's something about him describing it as like his last ballet. Like it's just so like his last ballet. Like I don't know, there's something about that I think is just so beautiful. And
yeah, I was gonna say beautiful, but I didn't know if
But
it
then,
was like a
right,
correct thing to say.
right, beautiful, but like not beautiful, but that's why I'm gonna stick with the word that I used first, innovative. I'm gonna say innovative, but even that doesn't even feel like the right word. But I really liked it. I'm just gonna say that. I can't explain why, but I really liked it.
I feel like this is the poem too that I feel like I need to read like 10 times to like really like get all of it.
Like pick out everything that's
Yeah,
being said. I feel that.
because like legs braiding in the climactic pirouette, convulsed shoulders rolling, the body finally drift as a sun baked blood flake flecked off a rhino's horn, the gored corpse sweet meat to a smoky gauze. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
it's just like again the flow is there, the flow is there. It's just so like I mean just like a sun baked blood flaked flecked off a rhino's horn.
Mm-hmm. Like
And
the sounds there, the B's and the K's and the F's, they go together so well.
I don't know how y'all do it, man. Like poets. Oh, by the way, Emma's a great poet.
Oh,
Go
I
buy
thank
their
you.
book.
Oh, I
Um,
thank you.
yeah,
It's only $15.
but I just can't. For me, I mean, at least I can draw or something. But like,
Oh yeah, I could not draw to save my life. I don't know how y'all do it.
but like the way, like the words are so cool when you put them together like that, and it
Right. That's why I
emotion.
love poetry. Like poets are so cool. Like what are you doing? You're creating entire pictures with words. That's so cool.
Because like it would, I don't know how long it would take to like write a poem like this,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a saying like pictures or like a thousand, you can thousand words picture, you can say a thousand things with like a picture. And I feel like on a good piece it takes me like 60 hours to like get everything where I want it to get. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
interesting, I wonder how long it would take to like write this poem and like how imagery baked it is. And like, you know, so like what it just makes me, this is like a tangent, but it just makes you think like what can you say in a picture and what can you say in a poem. And like
No, for real.
yeah, that's interesting to me.
And I think I don't know if you've ever read Terrence Hayes, but Terrence Hayes is a poet and an artist. And so a lot of his work comes with like pictures that he draws, or I'm pretty sure even his last one that he put out, he drew his own cover. Um, and so I think that's really cool as well, because then he can combine like his drawings with his poems and say it with both. And so I wonder what his process is. Like I wonder people who draw, or even people who like different visual arts, like people who are photographers and poets. Like I wonder like what can you say with your pictures that you are also saying with your words. Like I think combining different art mediums is great. Keep doing it.
And
Great.
yeah, because it's like also how can you, again a tangent, but I'm watching a show called Full Bloom on HBO Masks, and
Mhm.
it's about a florist, like a design florist competition. And
Ooh.
one of the judges came over to a contestant and was like, "Do you do any other mediums of art?" And the guy was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a singer." Then he was just like, try singing what you want to say with the flower, what you would like to say with the flowers, because
Mhm.
thinking about how you would approach one medium, like say for example, if I was to write a story, how would I write this story and how can that inform me on how to do this painting, if that makes
Mhm.
any sense.
Yeah. No, that makes
So
sense.
I think it's cool because like I would, how I would write a story is different to how I would go do like a painting. And
Mhm.
how can those two things help me make one or the other? Or you
Right.
like, and I think that's cool. So but yeah, back to the poem. I just wish I had more to say about this. I think all I have to, my final thoughts on it is just how I really like the last line of "You've heard it drops the floodgates for the real ghost, a bouquet of them, a blitzkrieg of black orchids roaring, and they blaze. That I want to paint that. That looks.
Oh my God, please do it. Because I just saw it in my mind. It just flashed. Please do it. And I even want to go, because I was about to talk about that same part, but I was going to start it up with the puppeteers praising this black ghost steel pierce, last dying quake, the dead sweet and clean, and that last wheeze and escaping, you've heard it. And then you already read that rest of it. I really like the you've heard, and then it stops, and then the it. I think that's a really good place to stop the line and jam it to the next one. I really, really liked that. And just like, you know, like that last wheeze and escaping, you've heard it, because we all have, because this isn't the first time it's happened and it's not the last time it's happened. And so I really liked that.
Yeah, just thinking of the word wheeze too, and the
Right.
use of chokeholds in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And like the controversy surrounding chokeholds and like no, he didn't have to do it, but he did. Like
he didn't have to do it, but he did. And we appreciate him for it.
He did what needed to be done. He did what needed to be done with this poem. I really like. All right, cool. Our next and last poet is Jericho Brown.
He, him pronouns.